Hey guys, how you doing? Chris Frigo, Power Core Powerlifting, and in today's video I want to discuss the importance of the pec minor and tell you why face pulls work so effectively for improving shoulder problems. Check it out. Alright guys, so everyone's heard of upper cross syndrome. If you haven't, it's characterized by a muscular imbalance between the anterior portion of the upper body and the posterior portion of the upper body. It's usually characterized by tight and overactive pecs and upper traps, and then weak and inhibited cervical flexors and rhomboids. Now, if you think that you have upper cross syndrome, which a lot of guys do, chances are you don't. See, a lot of guys think that any kyphosis at all, which is upper back rounding, automatically means they have upper cross syndrome, and it doesn't work that way. For the most part, it is most likely the exact opposite. Instead of overactive traps, it is actually probably most likely underactive traps. And you know, instead of being, it is tight pecs. What it is, it's tightness of the pec minor. I mean, that's a very important distinction because the pec major, when you have a tight pec major, basically all it'll do is internally rotate your shoulder. When you have a tight pec minor, it will internally rotate your shoulder, retract your scapula, and then downwardly rotate your scapula. And that last part is very important, the downward rotation. See, a lot of guys, when they sit there and they work face pulls, which is what this video is going to be about, they're trying to work their upward rotators because that's where the true imbalance lies. It's just that they address it wrong most of the time. Because most guys, when they do face pulls, or just when they try and address kyphosis, or just upper cross syndrome, or just any imbalance in general in the upper body, they just sit there and they row away. They row and they row and they do chin-ups and pull-ups, and all it does, look at all these movements, what they do, chin-ups, extension, rows, extension, it's all extension. But in order to work the upward rotators, you need flexion in your shoulder. When you flex your shoulder, it really works your serratus anterior. It really works, obviously, your deltoid, your anterior deltoid. But also it works your upward rotators. It works your upper traps mostly, and that's usually where the imbalance lies. Is usually tight, inhibited traps. So I mean, when people talk about upper cross syndrome, they do have half right. It is tight pecs and tight traps, but they address it wrong because it's also inhibited traps, not overactive traps. So I mean, if you ever hear guys talk about face pulls and how they work so great for their shoulders, it's so they do high face pulls. They don't sit there and do that. They do it to their eyes, and they really try and get the external rotation of their arms, because that's also very important. Now, this not only is it due to tight inhibited traps, but it's usually also due to tight overactive pecs. Like I said, that part they do have right. But a lot of people, like I said earlier, think it's the pec major when usually the problem is the pec minor. Because if you look at anatomy, and I will post charts later on, your coracoid process is right here, and it's part of your scapula, and it attaches, that's where the pec major, that's the insertion of your pec major, and the origin is all the way down here, kind of your nipple line. So I mean, if you think about it, when this muscle gets tight, when it tightens like that, it pulls in this coracoid process. When it pulls like that, it pulls your scapula in the downward rotation. That's what causes kyphosis. Also, additionally, when it tightens like that, I mean, because it's not a straight pull like that, it's an angled pull. So also, not just downward rotation, but internally rotates your shoulder and protracts your shoulder. So that's what causes kyphosis. You know, it causes, like I said, protraction, it causes internal rotation, it causes downward rotation, and it's not very good. And it can cause a lot of shoulder problems. So, I mean, I'll actually show you some stretches in just a little bit, how you can fix these. I will demonstrate how to properly do a face pull, and I will demonstrate how to do a great pec stretch via Jeff Cavalier from Athlean-X. And yeah, guys, I mean, you really want to make sure that just like with my last video with the John the sit-ups, that instead of making the problem worse, you're actually making it better. Because if you're sitting there rowing away trying to fix that imbalance, or sitting there doing chin-ups over and over, you're just gonna make it worse because you're in that downward rotation that you don't want. Obviously, I understand some people the problem might not be the upward rotators, but chances are if you've been rowing away and it's not getting better, it's probably your upward rotators. I'm going to demonstrate my exercise right now and check them out.
So, this bar first. So, the first thing you want to do when you're doing face pulls, make sure you have the right height. I was just talking about how you want to ensure that you're not rowing too low. Because, I mean, it basically is row. It's basically a really high row. You want to make sure you're not doing it too low, because then you'll get that down rotation. So you want at about eye level. Really, really stress this. Right? All you're doing is just retracting your scapula, extending your arms, or not extending your arms, externally rotating your arms, and then finishing through the end. Really get a good squeeze. So I mean, you're not doing that. You're not doing that. Notice how I'm always getting to the eye level. I'm pulling up, not even just straight. I forgot to mention that. You want a little tiny bit lower than eye level, and you want to pull up to your eyes. So that's an upward movement. You even want a little tiny bit of trap elevation. You get that? That's fine. Actually, while it's not necessarily preferred, it's a good teaching tool and can help ensure that you're actually working the intended muscle, utilizing the correct function. So I'm just going to demonstrate once more. Alright, there you have it. Alright guys, this is the pec minor stretch I was talking about. Remember, we don't want strength in the pec. We want to stretch it because the pec is already tight and it's overactive. Just like with the upper cross section we discussed earlier. Now what stretching is, all it is reversing the functions. If you remember the earlier discussions we had, the functions of pec minor are to internally rotate, downwardly rotate, and protract scapula. So all you have to do is reverse those. And you want to anchor your arm against something, just so your humerus doesn't jump forward and really ruin the stretch and not give you a really good stretch at all. So you want to anchor against the squat rack, retract your scapula, alright, externally rotate it, and then upwardly rotate it. And you kind of want to lean into it really well. It's kind of hard here, because I have a little J cup right here. You really want a good stretch right there. And if you look, you can draw yourself in Jeff Cavalier's videos I want to reference to, which I'll link to below. He actually draws on skin to show you how the length between the origin and the insertion changes as you do the stretch. So, yeah. Hope you guys try it out, and see you next time.